Virus host interactions. Now, in virus host interaction, we will study about what all effects the virus has on the host cells and how does the host cell tackle the virus. Interaction between the virus and the host cell can be studied at different levels, at the level of a cell, at the level of an individual, at the level of community. Some viruses may cause cell death, example polioviruses. Several viruses can lead to proliferation of the cells, example molluscum contagiosum virus. Some viruses can lead to cancerous change, malignant transformation in the host cells, example oncogenic viruses. And some viruses can live peacefully along with the host cell, that is known as steady state infection. Now, various cellular factors will determine the connection between the virus and the host cell. There has to be an appropriate receptor in the host cell to which the virus can bind. And once the virus has bound with the host cell, it can lead to various changes in the host cell. Like it can lead to cytopathic effects, rounding of the cell, degeneration of the cells, example herpes virus, adenovirus, enterovirus, etc. Virus can lead to formation of new cell surface antigens on the surface of the host cell. These are known as neoantigens, example paramyxovirus, myxovirus, herpes virus, and retroviruses. Virus can damage the chromosome of the host cells, example measles, mumps, cytomegalovirus, varicella virus. Virus can lead to latent infections and persistent infections, example herpes simplex viruses, varicella zoster virus, cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, hepatitis B virus, and HIV virus. Various viruses can lead to formation of inclusion bodies in the host cells. Inclusion bodies will be formed. They are certain certain masses that are found in the host cell, either in the cytoplasm or in the nucleus. They have distinct size, shape, location, and staining properties. And these inclusion bodies can be demonstrated in the virus infected cells under the light microscope. They have a characteristic histological feature and they are useful as a diagnostic aid for viral infections. Viral inclusion bodies can be single or multiple. They can be large or small. They can be round or irregular. They can be acidophilic or basophilic inclusion bodies. They can be in the nucleus or in the cytoplasm or at both the places. Examples of intracytoplasmic inclusion bodies include Negri bodies in the rabies virus, Guarneri bodies in the vaccinia virus, Bollinger bodies in fowlpox virus, molluscum bodies in molluscum contagiosum virus. So, 4 examples of intracytoplasmic inclusion bodies include Negri bodies, Guarneri bodies, Bollinger bodies, and molluscum bodies. Inclusion bodies can be in the nucleus. So, 2 types of internuclear inclusion bodies are known, Cowdery type A and Cowdery type B. Cowdery type A are found in herpes and yellow fever viruses. Cowdery type B are found in adeno and polio viruses. In some viruses, intracytoplasmic and internuclear, both kinds of inclusion bodies can be seen. Example, measles virus and cytomegalovirus. Now, pathogenesis of viral diseases has various steps in it. There are various segments of this process which can be studied. That is, first viral entry into the host cell, then primary viral replication, spread of the virus in the host cells, cellular injury caused by the virus, the host immune response against the virus, clearance of the virus or establishment of persistent infection, and viral shedding. These are various components in which we can understand the pathogenesis of viral diseases. Transmission of human virus infections can take place by different routes: respiratory route, alimentary tract, skin, through the conjunctiva, through the genital tract, or through maternal-fetal transmission, that is congenital. Through the respiratory tract, various viruses can be acquired, like by coughing, sneezing, talking. Examples of viruses that remain restricted to the respiratory tract include coronavirus, the most common example in today's times, influenza A, B, and C, parainfluenza type 1 to 4, respiratory syncytial virus, rhinovirus, adenovirus, and Coxsackie viruses. These viruses remain restricted to the respiratory tract after entering through the respiratory tract. The certain viruses which enter the respiratory tract but they spread and cause systemic illnesses. Examples: measles, mumps and rubella viruses, that is MMR vaccine wale viruses. Then varicella zoster virus, cytomegalovirus and Epstein-Barr virus. These viruses enter through the respiratory tract but they do not remain confined to the respiratory tract. They will spread and cause systemic illness. Various viruses can enter through the alimentary tract as well. Enteroviruses including poliovirus type 1 to 3, hepatitis A and E viruses, adenovirus, rotavirus, Norwalk virus, coronavirus, again coronavirus, astrovirus, Coxsackie A and B viruses and echoviruses. You must have observed that corona patients in this pandemic, some patients have GI symptoms and some patients have respiratory symptoms. And we saw in our list that respiratory and alimentary tract both are permissible routes for the coronavirus. Viruses can enter through the skin as well, through abrasions of the skin like papilloma viruses, molluscum contagiosum virus, cowpox, herpes simplex and hepatitis B viruses. Through the insect bite, example arboviruses, animal bite, example rabies virus. Through injection, hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C, HIV, HTLV, cytomegalo and Epstein-Barr viruses. Even through conjunctiva, viruses can enter the host. Adenoviruses by conjunctiva and they will lead to local disease in the eyes. Measles virus can also enter through conjunctiva but they will lead to systemic illness. Through the genital tract also viruses can enter the host. In that again you can divide them into two categories. Those which enter through the genital tract but they cause local lesions, and those which enter through the genital tract but do not produce local lesions but cause systemic illness. So sexually transmitted and producing local lesions on the genitalia include papilloma viruses and herpes simplex viruses, while those which are sexually transmitted but do not produce local lesions include HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C virus and HTLV virus. Spread of the virus in the body: entry through the epithelial surface, migration to the regional lymph nodes, then primary viremia, during which variants entering the bloodstream, and from there they will go to the RE system organs. From the RE system organs they will multiply and come back into the circulation, leading to secondary viremia, and after secondary viremia they will go to the target organ where they will produce the effect. They will produce lesions in the target organs. Significance of incubation period: there can be incubation period of as small as several hours or several days, and there can be incubation period of several years. So the incubation period is very variable depending on the type of virus and the disease. It can be as short as just a few days, example in arboviruses like dengue, chikungunya, etc. It can be a medium incubation period about 7 to 21 days. It can be longer incubation period for several weeks to months, example hepatitis B, 2 to 6 weeks or 6 to 20 weeks. It could be very long incubation period like in years, example in slow virus diseases, prions. Now what are the host responses to virus infections? The immunological responses to viral infections will be of varied types. The host will produce antibody mediated immunity as well as cell mediated immunity. The antibodies produced will be IgA, IgM, IgG, and viral neutralization can be done in different ways: by preventing adsorption, enhancing degradation of the virus, preventing release of the progeny, or complement mediated damage or cytolysis of the virus infected cells. Cell mediated immunity may T cells, cytotoxic T cells, natural killer cells, ADCC cells will participate. Then various non-immunological responses are also generated like phagocytosis, macrophages, fever, which is a natural defense mechanisms, and most viruses are inhibited at a temperature about 39 degrees Celsius. Hormones, steroids, they will worsen the case. In pregnancy, severe हो जाता है कई infections. Malnutrition will also worsen the case. Extremes of age are more susceptible to infections because they have immunity low. Interferons are host-coded proteins that protect the uninfected cells against viruses. What are interferons? They are host-coded proteins produced by the cells on induction by viral or non-viral inducers. इसको सिंपल वर्ड्स में अगर कहें तो इंटरफेरॉन इज़ केमिकल प्रोड्यूस बाय द इन्फेक्टेड होस्ट सेल. द इन्फेक्टेड होस्ट सेल में वायरस आ गया है और वो होस्ट सेल इज़ नाउ डूम टू गेट डिस्ट्रॉयड, बट इट इज़ अलर्टिंग द नॉन इन्फेक्टेड सेल्स by producing this chemical known as interferon. It will produce this interferon, and this interferon is a message to the non-infected cells that I have been affected by the virus, I am going to get destroyed, but you become refractory, you do not allow the virus to enter you. This is the signal mechanism. So interferons are basically signals released by the infected cells trying to protect the uninfected cells. The mode of action of interferons is, on exposure to interferons, cells produce a protein, translation inhibitory protein, which selectively inhibit the translation of viral mRNA. Synthesis. Interferons are produced by all vertebrate species. Normal cells do not produce interferons unless they are induced to do so. Interferons are cytocidal, and virulent viruses are poor inducers for interferons. Avirulent viruses are good inducers of interferons, and RNA viruses are stronger inducers of interferon than DNA viruses. There are three types of interferons: interferon alpha, interferon beta, and interferon gamma. Interferon alpha produced by leukocytes, beta produced by fibroblasts, and gamma produced by T lymphocytes. Main biological effects of interferons include they are mainly antiviral. They also have antimicrobial effects like resistance to intercellular infections like toxoplasma, chlamydia, malaria, etc. They have various cellular effects like inhibition of cell growth and proliferation of DNA and protein synthesis, increased expression of MHC on the cell surface. They also have immunomodulatory effects like enhanced cytotoxicity of NK cells, K cells, and T cells, activation of macrophage cytocidal activity, activation of suppressor T cells. Uses of interferons include, and alpha interferon is useful in following conditions: treatment of various disease conditions like hepatitis B and hepatitis C and condylomata acuminata, as a prophylactic or therapeutic in immunocompromised patients predisposed to varicella zoster infections or in diseases caused by HSV1 or 2, prophylaxis in CMV, used in AIDS associated Kaposi sarcoma and hairy cell leukemia. And these are various uses of alpha interferon. And gamma interferon is primarily used as an immunostimulant in treating oncogenic disorders and in some cases of immunodeficiency. Immunoprophylaxis against viruses includes vaccines which are effective and long lasting. There can be active immunization or passive immunization or combined immunization. Human gamma globulin convalescent sera, they form the passive immunization. They provide temporary protection, example measles, mumps, and hepatitis A virus. Their indication is in non-immune exposed to infection. Then comes combined immunization, in which the vaccine and passive immunization both can be used. Active immunization and passive immunization में difference we have studied earlier also in the immune system. लाइव वैक्सीन और किल्ड वैक्सीन में क्या फ़र्क है? लाइव वैक्सीन आर मोर इफेक्टिव, लॉन्गर लास्टिंग, एंड ए सिंगल डोज इज ऑल्सो इफेक्टिव, easy to administer, and local immunity is induced, and wide spectrum of antibodies are produced. Whereas in the killed vaccine, they are less effective, short lasting, they require booster doses, injectable, they are only causing systemic immunity, and antibodies to a limited number of antigens are produced. So these are some more differences between live vaccines and killed vaccines. Live vaccines are heat labile and need cold chain, while the killed vaccines are heat stable. Live vaccines are more economic and convenient for mass immunization, while the killed vaccines are costly and not for mass vaccination. Live vaccines induce cellular immunity, while the killed vaccine do not produce cellular immunity. And live vaccines are unstable, while the killed vaccines are stable. Now, lab diagnosis of viral infections. It includes direct detection of viruses, viral isolation and growth, detection of viral proteins, detection of viral genetic material, and serology. Direct detection of virus can be done in electron microscope, in the light microscope as elementary bodies, in fluorescent microscopy and immunoelectron microscopy. Isolation of virus can be done in animals, eggs and tissue culture. Detection of viral proteins can be done by electrophoresis, by enzyme activities, by hemagglutination and hemadsorption, by antigen detection by ELISA or radioimmunoassay. Detection of viral genetic material can be done by electrophoresis, restriction endonuclease cleavage patterns, DNA probes, RT-PCR, northern blot, southern blot, etc. Serological diagnosis can be done by demonstration of rise in titer of antibodies. Paired sera collected 10 to 14 days apart can give a suggestive value. Single serum sample detection of IgM is suitable. Neutralization test, complement fixation test, ELISA, hemagglutination inhibition and latex agglutination test can also be used. And some photographs. Electron microscopy, detection of virus from clinical sample, example stool sample. Adenovirus, rotavirus, embryonated egg which has 4 portions which are useful for cultivation of viruses. Cytopathic effect, syncytium formation by respiratory syncytial virus and measles virus. Hemadsorption, that is adsorption of RBCs on the surface of the cells found in influenza and parainfluenza viruses. ELISA useful for serological diagnosis of viral conditions. And that completes virus host interactions. Thank you.